Happy Monday. This is James and Mitchell, your intuitive guidance counselor, here with your week in Tarot. And this week we're going to be using the Tarot Illuminati by Eric C. Dunne. And for those of you who've been following my videos and my blogs for a while now, know that I take the tarot deck and I divide it into 3 piles. And each pile represents a different aspect of the week. So our first pile consists of the 22 major arcana cards, which is going to give us the theme for the week. Then the next pile consists of the 16 court cards, and that's going to be the approach that Tarot is asking us to consider adopting as we move throughout the week. And then the last pile consists of the remaining 40 minor arcana cards, and they're going to show us what the challenge of the week might be as we move through it. Okay, so having said that, I'm going to take the first pile, going to shuffle. It's the one that wants to be pulled. Okay, so our theme for the week is the High Priestess. This is very funny. I had a feeling that the High Priestess, as I was pulling the deck to use for today, was going to show up. So the High Priestess is all about going with our intuition. So this week we're being asked to cultivate learning how to hear that small, still voice that we all have within us. So some people might not consider it intuition. So for those of you who think the idea of intuition may not be for you, then this is about going with your gut, playing your hunches, following your instincts, those kinds of things, because it's really all the same thing. We just all use different words for it. So if you don't consider yourself to be an intuitive person, and I will say that we all are intuitive, then, just trust your gut, go with what your instincts are telling you, follow your hunches, things of that nature. This is also a card that asks us to pay attention to our dreams. So I'm a dreamer, and so I actively work with my dreams. So if you are a dreamer this week, or if you're not a dreamer and you have a significant dream, or you start remembering dreams this week, take note of that. That's very, very important. And you want to see what your dreams are saying to you, because that's another way your intuition speaks. And so while we're talking about intuition and how it speaks, I just said that dreams is one way, and dreams are very visual. So you may not receive intuitive information visually. You may hear it. So you may hear lines of songs or words or things of that nature. So pay attention. Are you hearing the messages? Are you feeling the messages? If you're a feeler, you'll feel it in your body, different areas, different ways of sensations, things of that nature. That makes you clairsentient. Are you a person who just knows something without knowing how you know it? That's claircognizance. So this week is pay attention to not only to your intuition, but how does your intuition speak to you? Okay, so that's the theme for the week. Now this is going to be our approach. That's the card. And our approach card is the Prince of Swords. Okay, so now, very interesting. You're going to need the High Priestess when the Prince of Swords is our approach card, because the Prince of Swords can be the type of person who rushes into a situation without thinking it through first. So this week we're being asked to think things through first. And this is good that the High Priestess comes before it, because one of the things that she adopts as an approach is the wait and see approach. So she's not one for rushing into something because she feels like she needs to have all the information she possibly can have before she takes any kind of action. Whereas the Prince of Swords is the guy who just jumps in without thinking and then sometimes regrets it. So that's one of the things we need to consider is, like, if you're normally the type who rushes into a situation, could you adopt a different approach and maybe step back and get a sense of what the situation is before you rush in? There may be a situation this week in which we need to be getting into it quickly, or needing to take a quick action or make a quick judgment. But if we don't, then go with the High Priestess and wait and see. There may be more information you need to have. It's very interesting. Swords is the suit that represents ideas, thoughts, communication. So it could very well be that you need to wait for some more information or communication before you take action on that. Swords are also the idea of systems and processes. So it could be that you might need to look into a system or a process more deeply, because the Prince of Swords can be about investigation. And so needing to look into it more deeply, that would help you take the proper course of action. Okay, so that's going to be our approach. And then the challenge card for the week, that one right there, is a Two of Cups. Okay, so this is an aspect of the Prince of Swords that I didn't talk about. It's very interesting that I have it here with the Two of Cups. Now, the Two of Cups is all about getting into relationships. Now, normally, if this was a relationship-oriented reading, I would tell you that this card is about like the promise of a new relationship, and you're in the stage where you're getting to know the other person better. But in this particular case, generally speaking, this card is about how can we manage our relationships in a way that allows us to get to know people better and allows them to get to know us better. Because I said this card is about, getting to know each other better. This card is about being willing to share your feelings, because Cups is a suit that represents the heart, feelings, emotions, and 2 is a number of balance. So this card represents being willing to be sharing how you feel with another person. And one of the best ways we do that, going back to the Prince of Swords, is communication. This card is assigned the sign of Gemini, and Gemini is all about communication. So this week, be mindful of how you communicate how you feel with people this week, regardless of how intimate the relationship is, because the Two of Cups can be, a relationship that's becoming more intimate. But regardless of the level of intimacy, this is asking us to take a look at how we can better share how we feel with other people, and the best way we can do that is through how we communicate that. Another aspect of the Two of Cups is, if you look here, there's a caduceus here, which means that this is a sign of healing. So this week we might be challenged with how can we help heal particular relationships. Again, one of the best ways is to kind of share how you feel. But here's the thing about that, is that you have to take ownership of your feelings and not make it the other person's fault or responsibility for how you feel. So if you're going to do that, then the Prince of Swords would be, how do you communicate that? The best way to dialogue that is to say, this is how I'm feeling about this particular situation that we're both involved in, and what you would like to see done to help heal it. Going back to the Prince of Swords, it's all about action. So what actions can you take to help heal that, and not make it the sole responsibility of the other person involved? But also, be willing to hear what they have to say, because if you're opening up and you're going to be sharing your feelings, then you have to be reciprocal and allow them to do the same. But the Two of Cups, is also about reconciliation, so that's going with the idea of healing. So what relationships could you look at, investigate deeply, that need to be healed? And how can you share your feelings and allow the other person to share theirs in a way that helps the healing process and doesn't hurt it? Okay, so going back to the summary, this week the High Priestess, the theme is trusting your intuition, trusting your instincts, trusting your gut, playing your hunches, however you want to word that for you, but honoring that. And how can you hear and honor the way your intuition speaks, whether it's visual, whether it's auditory, whether it's sensory, whether it's just knowing that you know something without knowing how you know it, but honoring that this week. Then our approach is take a step back and not be willing to always jump into a situation head first without thinking it through. This card is asking us to investigate things. If it doesn't require us to, make a quick action, make a quick decision. But I tend to see this as going the opposite way. And then our challenge card is the Two of Cups, and it's asking us, how can we be active in the healing process in some of our relationships this week? How can we be willing to share our feelings in a way that allows other people to get to know us a little more deeply. Okay, so that's your week in tarot. Again, this is Jameson Mitchell, your intuitive guidance counselor, and I look forward to sharing this space here again with you next week. And until then, take care.